See, because when you're listening to someone else, you get the sense that they're up there too long, but you know also that, everybody just does the same thing. They haven't figured out at what time they're done and sit down. Now, if you take a picture or a movie of yourself, or have someone do that, and then you yourself get to look at yourself speaking, but as somebody that's just watching someone else, the common thing, of course, you're actually watching yourself. That makes it kind of a little bit interesting, because when you're looking at yourself and you get past that, ooh, look at me, I'm talking. But if you actually look at yourself in like a third-party nature, which is, yep, here's that person that's talking, and oh my God, there he is. He's repeating himself again, and he's holding the floor, and he's really cool and exuberant and exciting, and I love to watch him move around or whatever, and I love when he jumps up and down, and like say, it's all cool because lots of energy and a lot of excitement to it. But he's repeating himself again, and it's like, he should sit down. Like that's just too long. But we're usually very courteous, and we're not going to all stand up and say, hey, you've been up there too long now, sit down. Like, get over, deal with it. Come on, you're too long up there. You're just repeating yourself. And it's pretty hard to swallow sometimes. I think you might maybe see it a little different if you were watching yourself. And then when you see that you're repeating yourself, there's to be some registered thing in your head where it's like, man, oh man, that was too long. And I wonder what I was doing. When could I have bailed on that? And what would make me indicate, or what would make me think that I'm up there too long? It's interesting, because that gets back into that, you have to find your place in groups of people, socially and so on. And part of that is body language and looking around at people, right? So when those things are going on and somebody holds the floor and they get to that boring thing where they're repeating themselves, whatever, I will actually disengage looking at them and kind of look at the floor, or if something was bothering me, because I carry around this book all the time to write notes in, I'll just disengage myself and start writing in my book. Other people will look around walls or scratch their leg or their face and look at the ceiling, and might even look at their neighbor and start chatting or something like that. If you could look at it from the standpoint you're now the speaker and you're looking around the room now, and there's another 8 or 10 people in there, and they're all engaged in doing everything but look at you and pay attention to you, that would be something useful to learn, that you've exceeded your valuable time of holding that floor, and know that you're being boring. So best to, govern yourself and not let your mother intervene. I mean, I do that quite often with my own son here, Leo. When I'm engaged in something, I have to I see him stand up and indicate that I'm holding the floor, and that's cool. But not actually let anybody order me to stop. A simple signal so that there's eye contact, and then you realize that you've had your chance. So in a quick finish up, so you don't immediately sit down. So it's okay, yeah, I guess my time's up, and you get to finish your conversation by something that, some way of doing it. So everything you do, you have to learn how to behave, and that's one thing is you have to behave is when do you shut up? It's very easy just to keep relying on somebody else to just simply tell you that you're done, but to actually learn by body language or people around you, or you have to have some way of learning how long you stood the floor. I mean, if there's a clock in the background, use it, or maybe look at your watch to start with and give it a glance once in a while. 5 minutes comes up pretty fast. It's gone. Or even if you had it for 10, or maybe you could cue the chairperson to give me a noise, so that I know I'm at my I got 1 minute left to close up my my speech, whatever we're not upset or angry or whatever when we're told that we're overbearing. We all know that we are. And it's kind of cool that somebody could just like help us along with just the realization that it's too long, and not make it always so obvious, to make it so that you have to realize by some type of signal or body language as you're looking around, just to know that you're done, or you were done 5 minutes ago, and then not engaging the conversation anymore. So just an observation that I had. So I thought that taking a film or a movie, the 5 or 10 minutes you hold the floor, and if you can also incorporate all the people around into that film so that you can see what they're all doing, it might tune your ability a little differently, where you draw some attention to what's going on and what you're saying or what you're doing. It's all very difficult, like I say, to monitor yourself, it takes some practice and it's hard to do, but it's just something I come up with. What's cool about these groups is you find that you're not really this person that's so different from everyone else. What you do find is, like, a lot of the people that go to these things are like very creative, just like you are. Like here, I thought that I was somewhat of a whack job, and I didn't understand that I'm writing these blogs and doing this art, and it was like, wow, it's kind of cool, but what's this all about? Brain damage, and it's in this hemisphere, and and you had an active life before, and so why write now? Like, why am I not like going walking outside and eating up pavement to learn how to run again or climb a ladder or whatever? Why all the changes? And when you're sitting there and listening to the group that I'm in, what I found very interesting was that, I don't know, I want to guess, let's say there's 10 people there, and not everybody will openly talk about what they're doing. Some stuff, but other stuff, it's like, you don't want to say it. I can't explain why, it's just, you just don't. You'll say some things, but you'll hold some stuff to yourself. You don't want the whole group to know certain things, and whatever. I'm pretty transparent. I'll talk about anything that anybody wants to talk about. Anything. When I say anything, I'll talk about anything. No embarrassment. I might sit back and give it some thoughtful moment before I respond to gather my thoughts, like what I'm doing now. This is a big challenge, is writing or like speaking to myself. I only get like an hour at a time to do it, and I'm trying to engage it so that I don't sound like somebody that just keeps bantering on and on. And you'll find that I do that. I find that I do it. I started talking about what's interesting in the group, and now I'm talking about I don't know what. But going back to the group thing, at least half of them there were writing. Seriously. They were all writing their story, their past, their experiences. It seems like it's a very common thing to do. You want to go out there and tell everybody how and why and what happened, and your challenges, and people seem to like want to hear it. Because it's something that not everybody can experience. Hey, stroke, cool. How do I experience one? Where do I sign up? Hey, doc, can you give me one? And I'll just go do it for an evening and then experience it, and then tomorrow I'll be fine. Nobody wants to really do it, but at the same time, we're all really interested on what's it like to be paralyzed, or what's it like to not be able to keep a conversation, or not know how to write or read anymore. It all seems so overwhelming that you're talking to this person, but this person doesn't know how to read, or all emotional all of a sudden and whatever. But at least out of the 10, like over half were writing their story. One or two of them were published. They've gone well beyond what I'm doing with this stuff.